We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends. If you want to support this Rebel Outpost, if you want to support the home for college football sickos with a donation to help us keep the lights on, hit that $sign where you make a comment and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway in Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. First of all, congratulations to Pope Leo, I think the 14th, from Chicago, Illinois. We got a Pope from the United States of America before the Minnesota Vikings won their first Super Bowl, before the state of hockey won their first Stanley Cup, before the Minnesota Timberwolves won an NBA. Again, this studio sits in the middle of Loserville City, and I am your mayor. But congratulations to the Pope. My mother has been watching it for the last few days. She's in her bed. She's got her rosary around her hands, and she's watching it, and she is celebrating. Okay. We're not going to be doing any celebrating during this show. It's going to be a battle. It is going to be a little different than what we usually do. This live show, usually I tackle 3, 4, 5, 6 different subjects on a 2-hour live show. Not today. Not today. Not now. Not today. Unless there is breaking news. But not today. Today we're going to be talking about one subject and one subject only. The Big Ten is under attack. The Big Ten is under attack. It is so very clear. So very clear what is going on. And before we begin, couple of things. A lot of you are going to disagree with everything I say today, and that is just fine. Put it in the chat, give me a call, say, Greg, you're wrong. Do all those things. You're part of the PATC family. Go for it. Number one. Number two, once again, this college football peek around the corner. We are 14 subscribers away from 5,000. And every time we get to this point, I get a whole lot of people upset, and then we drop back about 30, 40 subscribers. Well, we're going to do it again today. I apologize. That's what, this college football peek around the corner, as you know, is the most unpopular college football YouTube channel in the country. I am very fortunate. I am very humbled. I am very thankful that any of you guys and gals show up to watch this live program. I think you do for a couple of reasons. One is I take what I do here very seriously, but I don't take myself very seriously. Number two, I'm an equal. I rip on everybody. I rip on everybody, including my beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers. I have been in trouble with the Big Ten. Officially in trouble with the Big Ten. Officially. I'm not making this up. I am persona non grata. I've had people in this business ask me, why don't you go to the Big Ten Media Days? Because maybe I could get a media pass. Look, I am persona non grata at Rosemont, Illinois. But today I'm going to be a little bit different. This host is going to be a little bit different today. And I'm going to get a lot of you upset. And hopefully you don't unsubscribe. But if you do, it is your choice. It is my loss, not yours. I am going to have to take the Big Ten position on this. I'm going to be talking to you, not the fat guy from Minnesota, but as a Big Ten proponent. I also want to make this very clear. I completely understand the pushback on the Big Ten and the SEC. I'm making this show as an attack on the Big Ten even though it's also an attack on the SEC, but I want to keep it a singular focus. First of all, to make this show more entertaining. But second of all, there is a difference between the attacks against the SEC and the Big Ten. The attacks against the Big Ten are more pronounced. We'll get into that. I don't blame anybody for the pushback. I do not blame the Big 12. I don't blame the ACC. I don't blame Jack Swarbrick, who tried to create this Super League, and they're probably still trying to create it. I don't blame Cody Campbell and what he's trying to do, and we're going to talk about it. I don't blame the pushback. It was going to happen. It has happened. We just did a live show yesterday about the Big Ten getting richer and richer. We've had live shows, the Big Ten and the SEC accumulating more and more power. So, of course, the other institutions are not going to take this laying down. I don't blame the pushback. But what I am going to do is call it a pushback. It's a war. It's an attack. I'm going to be honest. I've been honest about the Big Ten power play. I said on September 9th, before it was socialized anywhere, that the Big Ten was going to push for the automatic 4 bids for the CFP playoffs. And do you remember what my reaction was to that? Aggressively, no. I do not want it. I do not like it. It's terrible. You can't put you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I'm absolutely against auto bids other than for a conference champion, all that stuff. Remember all this talk about not having playoff access for the G5? Who was in this studio day after day, week after week, month after month, pounding the table saying, no, we need to have, we didn't have it before, we need to have playoff access for the G5 to keep those athletic departments humming, so they can pay the bills, so they can get the money out the playoff distribution model. So that I am the one who fought against, who said, that Jack Swarbrick idea, this Rudy project, if you read it, if you actually sit down and read it, they cut out all the G5 schools. Not only for playoffs, but for any games during the regular season, so the other 72 schools can get more money in their media negotiations. So this is a pushback, but let's not pretend it's altruistic. Let's not pretend that this attack on the Big Ten is only for the good of college football. I'm not buying that. I know some of you are going to buy that, but I'm not going to buy that. We're going to have a little bit of a battle here today. We're going to do it respectfully. There's going to be people mad at me. So let me start off the program by saying I apologize if I offend anyone or get anyone upset. We're going to get into it. We are going to get into it. The ACC. Well, we're going to go through a couple articles here to make everything clear, because some of you are thinking, what the hell is wrong with this guy? What is wrong with this guy? What is he even talking about? I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see clearly now. Every single idea from the outside forces, the super leagues, every single idea that comes about to try to fix college football and college sports, every single one, super leagues or having Olympic sports be all regional, and every single idea. One of the goals in that new concept, one of the goals in that new idea is the dismemberment of the Big Ten Conference, or it's not going to work. Every single idea. Again, I'm not blaming. I mean, I'm not saying don't go for it. I don't blame the pushback, but we're going to call it like it is. This is a pushback on the Big Ten. I got so many examples of this. So many. Cody Campbell, Texas Tech Raider, big booster, doing wonderful things for the university. He's come out and said the football landscape should be done back in geographical divisions. You got people, Campbell and other people, saying that there should be this force parity on exposure and money. Let me ask a couple questions. And again, you can answer it in the chat room, in phone calls. Look what the ACC is doing right now. Look at what the ACC is doing right now. I mean, Clemson and Florida State, somewhat Miami, they're not even sharing their value with the other ACC members anymore. Not their total value anymore. They've gone to unequal revenue sharing. So, but we're going to ask Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, and Georgia to share their value so we can have parity throughout college football. We've got a whole lot of people, family members, PATC family members, who have spent months telling me in the chat room, Greg, you know, Minnesota, they shouldn't be getting the same, they should not be getting the same amount of media money as Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. You know that, Greg. And you also know, Greg, that Minnesota's going to have to give up a little bit of money to keep the Buckeyes satisfied. You know that, Greg. You know that you should not be getting the same amount of money as the Buckeyes. But then in the next breath, but then in the next day, it's the Big Ten should be dismembered and all that value should be shared across the college football landscape. So in other words, as I told my friend Wild Jute, and he's a good friend, I love the guy, he's a lot smarter than I am. Everybody is Numbskull News, Moen, Nathan Brown, all of you are a lot smarter than I am. But I get it now. This has all become so clear. You do not want Ohio State to share money with Purdue. You do not want Ohio State to share their value with Purdue, even though they've been conference mates for over 100 years, but you want them to share your value with schools that they don't have a relationship for over 100 years. Big 12. We're going to go through all this over and over and over again. We got articles. We got a lot to discuss. We're going to get to your chat. We're going to get to your comments. We're going to get to your phone calls. Big 12. Big 12. You got a lot of powerful people. You got a lot of powerful institutions. You got a lot of powerful brands. Absolutely. Brands that have advantages that even some of the SEC and the Big Ten schools don't have. Look at the Kansas basketball brand. My God, that is money. That prints money. The Jayhawk fan base is enormous. They put the Big 12 tournament down. It's a huge brand. It's got advantages. A lot of that has been earned advantages. Earned advantages. Are you willing to give that earned advantages up? Are you ready to take your hand down and bring up Memphis? Are you ready to put your hand down and bring up South Florida? Are you ready to help UTSA? Anybody in the Big 12? Are you ready to commit to parity with the AAC? No, of course not. Again, none of this is altruistic. So let's push that out of the way. This is about schools, entities, institutions, athletic departments, and conferences fighting for their own self-interest. And again, I do not blame the pushback. I don't. I get it. I understand it. I said it on the live show when it happened. I was as clear as I possibly could be. The ACC and the Big 12 should not have signed on the dotted line when it came to the college football playoff governance and distribution model that's going to go on to 2031. They signed it. They shouldn't have, but they signed it. They should have called the Big Ten and the SEC's bluff. They should have said, take your ball and go home if you want to leave. Go ahead and separate. By the way, you're going to be part of a bunch of lawsuits that we are connected with, that we're going to have to pay together with. But they signed it. So now the SEC and the Big Ten has all this governance power when it comes to the college football playoff. The distribution model is slanted towards them. So I understand, I get it. It now is the pushback. It should have been done before. But now is the pushback. But let's call it like it is. It's a pushback. We are going to go through a couple articles so people can kind of understand where I'm coming from here. But, and I'm going to say this, and then we're going to get to the articles. There is nothing stopping the Big 12 and the ACC in doing something dramatic. There is nothing stopping the Big 12 and the ACC in bundling up their content or planning to bundle up their content to negotiate the next contract together. For the Big 12 and the ACC to go to ESPN and say, can you shorten that gore even a little bit more? We want to negotiate as a merge two conferences. Go for it. If the Big 12 and the ACC are so determined to have divisional play based upon geography, then go ahead and do it. Merge and then have divisions based on geography. Or if you can't merge, if you cannot have that happen, have the Big 12 split in two. If you want to have a Big 12 that are just close travel for your Olympic sports, split the conference in two. Merge two big conferences together, split through there are other things. I mean, the idea the idea that everybody should go into these regional divisions for non-revenue sports to cut down on travel. We've done that before, but it didn't bring the value in to the conference. Even the Big Ten knew that it could not survive as a one-region conference. That's why it went to the Penn State. That's why it went to Rutgers in Maryland. And then they went west when USC called. It's why Brett Yormark went national. Now everybody's saying we got to go back to one region division conferences. No one's going to pay you for that. We just went through that. Oh, wait, Greg, you don't understand. We can go back to one region conferences, one region divisions for softball and baseball and blah, blah, blah. If we all are under one umbrella, the Super League. Okay, so we're back to that again. It's a circular argument. So we're all back under one umbrella again. What does that mean? That means the dismemberment of the Big Ten Conference. That's what that means. The Big Ten, it crumbles. Now you're saying, Greg, well, guess what? Other conferences have crumbled. True. Absolutely. They did. And maybe the Big Ten is going to crumble someday. Maybe the Big Ten is going to crumble someday because Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, USC, they're going to look around and they're going to say, this doesn't work for us anymore, brother. Maybe we'll join the SEC, or maybe the top of the SEC and the top of the Big Ten join and they form a true super conference. Maybe that will happen. Maybe that will happen. But that will happen by the free will of Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia. Just like it was the free will of Oklahoma and Texas moving. Just like the free will of USC moving. Not based upon some governance forces outside saying, now we are going to bring you all in under one umbrella. You're going to go in your divisions. The Big Ten is not going to go for it. They're not. Why would they? I'm going to be honest, it's ridiculous. Look, I know I'm going to get a lot of people upset here, but at least you're getting the honest emotions of this. At least you're getting we're going to have an honest conversations of this. And you're going to do it with your chats and with your phone calls. You're going to say, Greg, you're wrong. Greg, you're right. Greg, you're missing something. When Jim Delaney, now I'm 57 years old. I'm older than the average age of the people in the family. I have been around. I have covered a lot of stories. And the stories that, when Jim Delaney told ESPN to roll those, no, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back. ESPN and Delaney were having these negotiations. And Delaney thought ESPN was not being honest in the negotiations. Delaney said, ESPN, you're screwing us. You're not giving us the true value for our other sports that brings value to our conference. And Jim Delaney said, look, we are going to create our own conference network. And ESPN laughed at him and said, go ahead, roll those dice. And Jim Delaney said, consider those dice rolled. He took the risk. They created the network. 98% of the college football fans out there, college athletic fans out there, mocked the idea of a conference network and said it ain't going to work. You're not going to make money. In the first couple of years of the conference network, nobody made money, because the money that was made in revenue had to go back to Fox because they were the sugar daddy who created the conference network. So the noise got louder and louder and louder. The Big Ten network is a failure. The Big Ten schools took the risk. They created the network, and it worked. The Big Ten, it worked. Decision well made. The Big Ten went to the East. They got Penn State. When the Big Ten expanded with Rutgers and Maryland, once again, the Big Ten got laughed at. Absolutely got laughed at. When Texas and Oklahoma went to the SEC, we all saw the value of the SEC just shoot upwards. You could see it. You could smell it. You could taste it. It was obvious. What was the Big Ten going to do? And then I reported on March 31st, 2022, whoa. I got dragged over the coals for 3 months because people said that's not even possible. The Big Ten ain't going to take a USC that's not a contiguous state. The Big Ten ain't going to stab the Pac-12 in the back, but they did. USC came on aboard. Again, people mocked it. The Big Ten has made good decisions, bad decisions. The Big Ten, the institutions have been there has been unbelievable, evil scandals happening in major Big Ten institutions. It hasn't been all good. It hasn't been all great. Some of it has been bad. Some of it has been plain evil. But all these decisions, and now we sit here today, and suddenly the forces are saying, the outside forces are mounting up in many different ways, many different avenues, and saying, yeah, we can't have this anymore. The goal has to be the dismemberment of the Big Ten Conference. Really? Interesting. Well, I'm here today to push back on it. Look, I have gone to war, basically, and I've gone to war for the G5 schools to maintain their G5, to maintain playoff access. I have gone to war and I have said, these auto bids, I don't want them. They shouldn't. It's too permanent. It makes, you can't put the toothpaste pack in the tube. Terrible idea. When we talk about a breakaway, when people talk about a breakaway, I said, I was up front at the beginning of the creation of this YouTube channel. I said, the Big Ten and the SEC could break away someday. But it ain't going to happen in 2025. It ain't going to happen in 2026. I said that in 22, 23, 24, and I'm saying it in 25. But they could break away someday. And I have been straightforward. I say, I do not want that to happen. Terrible. Terrible for the men and women that I want more opportunities for the men and women to get scholarships to play all over the country. For the Big Ten and the SEC to break away, it's going to be terrible. I say that because I remind everybody of that, because in this article that we're going to go through, one of the ideas that Cody Campbell and other people are like, we got to be looking at that broadcasting rights. We're going to go through it. The problem is, so we all can be under one umbrella. So we all can be under a Super League. So all these schools can pool their content together to negotiate a media rights deal. The problem with that is that it opens the door. If that becomes the law again in the country, we're going to go over it. It opens the door to the potentiality of the SEC and the Big Ten pulling their stuff together and breaking away from everybody else. I'm not sure that enough people quite understand the poison pill that people somehow want to swallow today. I want to bring that up as well. Okay, let's go do a roll call. Then we're going to go through some more articles. We're going to go through the articles here so people get more clear what's going on. MBM, no merger, no split, only revolution. Hateful 8 for life. Thank you so much for the super chat. MBM, thank you so much for your generosity. No merger, no split. I'm just throwing out ideas. People have gotten obsessed over the idea that Olympic sports should go back to regions because you don't want the student athletes traveling, right? And I'm saying most of the country can go ahead and do that today. Go do it. If it's really important, go do it. Stanford, ACC, make an agreement. Stanford can play baseball against Pepperdine and just have a bunch of series up and down the California coast. The Big 12 can do it. Everybody can do it. Go ahead and do it. Now, the SEC already does it. See? You're not breaking up the SEC. See? When you're talking about that. When you're talking about everybody doing it, you're talking about the dismemberment of the Big Ten. Big Ten ain't going to do it. When the Big Ten invited UCLA, no, I'm not trying to be offensive to the Bruins, but when the Big Ten invited UCLA, it was because of the great public institution, the incredible academic research institution of UCLA, the market that they're in, combining with USC, the right blend. And it wasn't for UCLA football. It wasn't. It was not for UCLA football. I know everybody thinks all realignment is only about football viewership. It's not. I've tried to explain that. But I tell you what the Big Ten really wanted out of UCLA was that baseball team, was that softball team, was that basketball team. UCLA can leave the conference anytime they want it. They're going to have to pay out some big time money. Right? But the Big Ten ain't going to release their just freely release their institutions to say go ahead and join another conference. Even though we sponsor that here in the Big Ten, go ahead. You know, the Minnesota Golden Gophers did not want to leave the WCHA. The Minnesota Golden Gophers did not want to leave. They wanted to keep playing the Denver Pioneers. They wanted to keep playing North Dakota. They wanted to keep playing Colorado College. They wanted to keep playing Minnesota Duluth. They wanted to keep the WCHA, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, made $7-8 million a year 15 years ago in hockey because of the WCHA. But then the creation of the Big Ten said, nah, Minnesota, we need you. We need you to do this. We need you to do this. And, of course, Minnesota said, okay, we got to do it. We're the Big Ten. You think Minnesota going to just leave the Big Ten and join NCHC and the Big Ten's going to be okay with that? Of course not. Okay. Let's get to the roll call here. I've already missed a bunch of people. I do apologize. All good 720. Numbskull News is in the house. Morris Simmons, Daniel Gygax, Cougar, Devil Frog, Tom DeBay, Alani Ted, John Dry Observer 46 is in the house. Tom Collard, Flint Dog 8208 is here. Florida Man is here. David Floyd is here. Greg is still mad at Texas Tech for 2006, 2012. I am mad at Texas Tech for beating the Gophers. But I'm not mad at what is transpiring right now. But we're going to make clear what it is. We are going to make clear what this is all about. This is a pushback. And it's been going on for a long time. And I think it's going to continue to go on for a long time. And the Big Ten and the SEC are going to push back. And the other forces, the Big 12 and the ACC, and those representing their interests are going to push back. And it's going to be a constant push. And I just hope and I pray that the Big Ten and the SEC don't take their ball and go home. We'll get into it. We got a lot to get into. But yes, I am mad that the Red Raiders defeated my Golden Gophers. Tom DeBay is in the house. There is a power play going on here. And the other power conferences, they're not bowing down anymore. I get it. But let's call it like it is. We got a little war going on here, guys. It's not India and Pakistan, but we got a little war going on. Devil Frog is in the house. A2 is here. Charles M. Bill Valentine is in the house. He doesn't like the Big Ten. Azon the Kid. C. John. Auto Raider. Jonathan Price is in the house. Bill G, thank you so much. Unbelievable generosity by Bill G once again. Ryan Dooley. K-State Scott. Michael Monk. J. Cobra Cat. Sam 8911 SK. Have all been gifted a membership by the generosity of Bill G. Thank you so much, Bill G. I do appreciate all of your kindness to the PATC family and to this channel over the last weeks and many, many, many months. All of you are hereby knighted, cloak, and dagger. Ryan, K-State, Michael, Joe Cobra, and Sam, when you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Bill for his generosity. He has done this over and over and over again, giving up memberships to everybody. Holy smokes. Thank you, Bill G. I do appreciate it. Let me make sure here. Okay. All right, let's get to it, guys. We got a lot to get to. I'll talk more on this, but then I'm really interested in hearing what you guys got to say. First of all, let me just talk about Campbell here. We're gonna just go through a few slides, and then we're gonna go through a really good article that kind of clears everything up. Cody Campbell, Nick Saban, a part of the Presidential Commission on trying to save college sports. This is just part of an article. This is what Cody Campbell believes. To permanently sustain the economic model, we must reimagine the organization and governance of college sports altogether. Now, when I read this, I'm going to agree with a lot of what Mr. Campbell is saying, right? The professional sport leagues, especially the NFL, have found great success in building the brands of all of its franchises, not just those in the big markets. This has expanded the league's economic pie, created greater parity, and has massively increased viewership. College sports do not currently have the right to take the same approach, as they do not have protection under the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961, as do the professional leagues. We're going to circle back to this. This is what Andy Staples talked about on 3 in Erie Wasserman. If you're going to bring up the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961, if you actually want college sports to have that protection, be careful of what you ask for. Be careful. Be careful. We'll get back to that in a moment. The Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961. Through inclusion in the Sports Broadcasting Act, colleges would gain the right to pool and jointly market their media rights and install a media revenue distribution system that would significantly increase total revenue and would promote parity. The big and storied programs will continue to retain advantage because of the massive ticket sales, donor support, and ability to monetize licensing and merchandise. But the smaller schools will at least be able to maintain solvent athletic departments and support non-revenue sports. All that sounds good, right? But that's kind of what is going on in the Big Ten and the SEC. It's what's going on in the Big 12. Everybody's sharing in the media rights, but the differences are in ticket sales, licensing. It's why Ohio State makes a lot more money than most of the Big Ten schools. It's why Alabama makes way more than most of the SEC schools, even though they're sharing in the same media money. That is what's going on in the SEC and the Big Ten. But what people want to happen is they want that Big Ten umbrella, they want that SEC umbrella to go out over 60, 70 schools. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about lifting everybody's boats in an 18 Big Ten conference or a 16 SEC conference or a 16 Big 12 conference. We're talking about everybody going under that umbrella. You can't even do that now. You can't do that now because of the Broadcasting Act. But if you get that back in, you can do that. However, that opens the door for the SEC and the Big Ten to do their own thing, to pull their rights together, to negotiate as one entity. Keep that in mind. And then finally, there must be some geographic sense made of conference alignment. There it is, Cody Campbell. Because the conferences must compete with each other for media deals. They are incentivized to organize in the leagues that span multiple time zones and cover the full width of the continent. Yeah, so they can play in different time slots during the day. Yes, makes a lot of sense. This has resulted in the loss of traditional rivalries. And as balloon travel, that is true. Let's be honest. We lost Oklahoma State. And as balloon travel expenses, true. And time away from the classroom, true, especially for non-revenue sports. It also diminishes fan engagement and excludes those who cannot afford cross-country travel for weekend games. Okay, that is part of one article. Now, let's get to... Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Ryan Willie, Expedition Greg, I appreciate your generosity. I'm going to get to both of you as quick as I possibly can, but I don't want to lose the momentum here. I'll get to both of you as quick as I possibly can. Andrew McCleary, today, future of college sports, rest with Cody Campbell and Nick Saban. The future of college sports rests with Cody Campbell and Nick Saban? Really? Really? Nick Saban, a retired head coach. Cody Campbell, a very successful businessman, worth billions of dollars. Big booster of the Raiders. The future of college sports rests with these two individuals. Really? I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I told you, I gave you a warning. I'm going to wear a different hat on this live show today. I'm not a national host today, like I have been in every live show I've ever done. I got the Big Ten hat on. Big Ten, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this article. I'm looking at a lot of these sports reporters. I'm looking at all this Super League stuff, and I'm going, you got to be crazy. I've told you guys and gals before, everybody that I talk to in the Big Ten absolutely laughs or mocks the idea of a Super League, or they tell me, Greg, don't ever ask me about this again because it isn't happening and it's absolutely ridiculous. But the great pushback is upon. Future of college sports rests with these two individuals. Before we get into the article, obviously my answer is no. No, it doesn't. No, it don't. In a move that could reshape the landscape of college athletics, Texas Tech Collective founder Cody Campbell is stepping into a new role alongside the legendary football coach Nick Saban. The two will serve as co-chairs of President Donald Trump's College Sports Commission. This panel is designed to tackle the evolving challenges of collegiate athletics. The most important topic they hope to address is name, image, and likeness and other financial deals for college athletes. Again, a lot of this, I'm going to bump this up a bit here so people can actually read it. A lot of this I agree with, but then there is that poison pill at the end of the article that needs to happen for all this to happen. Campbell is a former Texas Tech football player and a current Board of Regents chairman. He's also one of the most prominent donors for the Red Raiders. He's the co-founder and co-executive of Double Eagle Energy Holdings. It is an oil and gas company that operates extensively in the Permian Basin region of West Texas. Campbell made headlines when he sold Double Eagle for a staggering $4.1 billion in April of this year. His contributions financial to the school have landed his name on the field at Jones A&T Stadium in Lubbock. Meanwhile, Saban, the former LSU Alabama head football coach, has been a vocal critic of the current state of college athletics. Specifically, he has been advocating for more structure and regulation in NIL era. It's become a commonplace to see Saban ranting about the need for change on college game day in the fall. Together, these two figures bring a unique blend of business acumen and coaching expertise. Campbell's experience in high-stakes financial deals and Saban's deep understanding of college athletics could prove instrumental in shaping policies that ensure fairness, sustainability, and competitive balance. The commission, spearheaded by President Trump, adds to address key issues plaguing college sports. This includes unrestricted player movement, via the NCAA transfer portal, unregulated booster payments, athlete employment status, and Title IX implications. Calls on Congress to get involved are not new to any of these situations in the history of college athletics. But once NIL deals become a part of the landscape, once they became a part of the landscape, the calls to DC grew in number and volume. The commission's work could set the foundation for a more structured approach to collegiate sports governance. Why would Campbell join? Why would Cody Campbell join the presidential commission? It's no secret that the wild, wild west nature of NIL and collectives has greatly benefited Texas Tech. Campbell, head coach Joey McGuire, and his Red Raider team have burst into the national landscape after seemingly coming out of nowhere to be the most active team in the fall portal window. Texas Tech has continued to add key pieces in the spring window. So why would Campbell want to actively corral the NIL landscape? Why change it when it has positioned his alma mater in a position it's never been in before? Campbell has called for reform publicly multiple times in the past. His most recent came in light of Nico "I'm a leaving on a jet plane" unceremonious exit from Tennessee. Campbell's public comments appear to be looking out for the rest of college athletics. Beyond the big revenue sports, football and men's basketball, Cody Campbell's public comments appear to be looking out for the rest of college athletics beyond the big revenue. In a piece penned on the Federalist on April 14th, Campbell said, lost in all of this are the 500,000 plus student athletes who are not receiving multiple million-dollar deals and have no voice at the table. Campbell is calling for the rules that allow NIL contracts to be enforced. In addition, he's seeking one set of laws to be followed and not state legislator rule in the day. I agree. He also wants to ensure athletes remain student athletes and not employees. Campbell argues establishing this non-employee status would help to limit the cost of burden of sponsoring an intercollegiate sport. He's accurate about that. It is one of the reasons why all these schools agree in pushing back on the full employment idea and ensure that benefits like scholarships are not taxable as income. Perhaps the most significant reason Cody Campbell is calling on action is to get everyone to play on the same money field. My question was, who is exactly everyone? Well, who is Cody Campbell talking about here? Is he trying to get everybody on the same money field? Is he talking about Texas Tech versus Ohio State? Or is he talking about Rice versus Texas Tech? UTSA versus Texas Tech? North Texas versus Texas Tech? Marshall versus West Virginia? Utah State versus Utah? I could go on and on and on. Exactly who is everyone? Who is everyone? Back to the article. Searching for equal money sharing. Here we go. College sports do not currently have the right to take the same approach as the NFL, as they do not have protection under the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961, as do the professional leagues. Through inclusion in the Sports Broadcasting Act, colleges would gain the right to pool and jointly market their media rights and install a media revenue distribution that would significantly increase total revenue and would promote parity. Campbell's quest to protect all of college athletics appears noble. Cody Campbell's quest to protect all of college athletics appears noble. The cynic would argue that if Campbell played in his football at a Big Ten or SEC school, would he not have this same stance? What's next? There's no way to determine the exact impact of the commission would have on the college sports landscape. After all, there are still potential landmark agreements to settle in the trio of antitrust lawsuits facing the NCAA. Most notably, it would allow the first time a system of direct payments from school to athletes. Campbell and Saban's leadership will be pivotal in shaping the future of college athletics as the commission begins its work. All eyes will be on these two. College athletics will see how, or even if, they can properly steer the future of college athletics in a direction that works for all. Andrew McCleary. And again, I would ask the question, who is all? Where do you draw the line? Who is all? What are all the schools that are included in this large umbrella? The Sports Broadcasting Act of 61. If college sports would get that protection, who are all the schools that are going to be negotiating as one to the media networks? Not to mention, and let's be clear on this, ESPN doesn't want any of that. Fox doesn't want any of that. And if that happens, if the Protection Broadcasting Act protection of 61 now incorporates college sports where individual schools could pool their stuff together, what is stopping the SEC and the Big Ten from doing it, just those two, and breaking away? Because, look, one of the great hurdles of the Big Ten and the SEC breaking away is they will not be able to pool their rights together. But if this broadcasting protection 1961, if that becomes the law of the land for college sports, and now you got the Big Ten and the SEC going, woo, wait a second here. Why don't us two conferences, pool our content together and negotiate as one? A lot of people have been talking about that. Andy Staples warned everybody this morning on that. He said, I don't know if the ACC and the Big 12 want to even have that happen. Ryan Willie, don't drink the Kool-Aid of the Super League. It's been spiked. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Appreciate the super chat. Sorry I didn't get to your super chat earlier. I do appreciate your generosity and all of your support. Thank you so very much. Evo Badger, Ryan Willie, Expedition Greg, thank you so much. Once again, for your membership, gift membership, Auto Raider gifted a membership. Auto Raider, Auto, when you get an opportunity. Oh, you already did. Auto Raider, thank you. Expedition Greg, thank you. Both of you are officially knighted Cloak and Dagger. Okay, so we're going to get to your phone calls here, and I think there is going to be some, Greg is as long as the Big Ten is winning. That's fine. I am here for you guys. I said this was going to be a very unpopular live show. I have taken a lot of shots at the Big Ten, G-Brew. A lot of them. Oh, since I've opened up this YouTube channel, I disagreed with the auto bids. I disagreed with the distribution model. I have disagreed with a lot of what the Big Ten has done. I have ripped on Petiti and Sankey. So, am I a Big Ten homer? I really don't believe I am. At least not like other YouTube channels out there. This is a national show, but today was going to be a little bit different. I am speaking honestly here. This is a pushback from the ACC and the Big 12. These Super League ideas, all this stuff, even Notre Dame, this is all a pushback on the SEC and the Big 10. So I'm going to call it like it is. It's the pushback. It's not altruistic. It isn't. The Big 12 and the ACC are not looking out after Conference USA or the MAC Conference. What about Memphis? What about UConn? What about UConn? Are they going to be included in this new Super League? Are you going to fold UConn into all this? Why hasn't the Big 12 invited UConn in yet? Because those presidents have not been convinced it's best for those institutions in the Big 12. Okay, let me see here. College football has never been fair. Absolutely. You know, I've had some really good conversations with a lot of good people who disagree with me on all this stuff. Or they are happy that there is this great pushback, which is fine. I have, talking about parity. Let's talk about parity. Let's talk about parity. First of all, we're never going to have a draft, right? We're never going to have a draft. We're never going to have a college football draft, guys. It'll never happen. You're talking about, you're forcing student athletes to join a college that they don't want to go to. We're not going to have a draft. It can't be like the NFL. You're not going to get parity through a draft. There are going to be schools that are going to have advantages over because of the earned advantages that they have received. Or just by happenstance, because the university is in a populous state, or the university is in a big-time recruiting area for a particular sport. But you're not going to have parity. You cannot force parity onto college sports. I would like there to be guardrails so we can promote more competition. I want G5 to have their access. I want there to be, again, I sort of like the limited roster spots, so there can be more spread out of top talent across the country. I like the idea of a transfer portal. Now there's got to be guardrails around that. But parity, I mean, look inside these conferences. There are schools that have always had a huge monetary or recruiting advantage over other schools in the same conference. How are you going to make sure there is parity even within a conference. You can't. So how are you going to do it among 60 schools? Are we talking about Alabama has to, what does Alabama, are we talking about Alabama giving up all their advantages? Ohio State, Georgia. I don't know. It's we're not going to get a draft. There's no way we're going to get a draft. That's, again, it all goes back to what I've been saying for months. Whatever we're going to end up with is not going to be NFL. It's not even going to be NFL light. We can't go back to amateurism, but we can't go to NFL light either. We're not going to have a draft that ensures parity in the NFL. And I'm going to say this, and then we're going to go to your phone calls. For those in the chat room who keep pointing at the Big Ten and the SEC, in saying, look, we need parity with that. We're tired of that. We're tired of them having the advantage. I would ask you to think of it this way. What about the schools that want your spot? What about East Carolina that thinks they should have Wake Forest's spot? What do you think about Southern Florida, University of Texas San Antonio? What do you think about I mean, there are other schools, Boise State, there are other schools, Memphis. Memphis has not been able to get into an autonomous four conference. Look at their ticket sales. Look at the intensity of their fan base. What about Memphis? They want your spot. Kansas State, Memphis wants your spot. Is Memphis allowed to grab some of the value of Utah, BYU, Kansas State, Kansas? The answer from Big 12 schools are going to be no. Yes, Memphis has been successful, but here in the Big 12, we've worked to get to this spot. We're an autonomous conference. We got Brett Yormark. We just poached the Pac-12. Why would we pool our value with the AAC schools? That's not fair to us. That is the same thing what the Big Ten and the SEC schools are looking at. Why would we give up decades and decades and decades of building a brand, a Big Ten SEC brand, building these conference networks that have live content, not just in football, softball, hockey, baseball? Why are we giving all this up? Why should we give all this up? Before I get to phone calls, one more thing. I do get it though. I mean, I do get the pushback. I really do. It's been going on for a while. It's going to continue to go on. And who knows what the end result of this is all going to be. But it is a pushback. What Cody Campbell wants, what the Super League wants, what a lot of people want, the powers, the outside forces, the Super League forces, they want to shatter everything in front of them. Reset everything. And that includes the dismemberment of the Big Ten Conference. The conference that is a national conference in their goal was to become a national conference. The dismemberment of the Big Ten, the attack of the Big Ten, that is what is happening. Let's be clear. You're for it, you're against it, you don't care, it's entertaining, whatever. But let's be clear. This is not none of the I have had live shows talking about, we've had live shows calling the ruthless aggression of the Big Ten, stabbing the Pac-12 in the back. I've called it that. I've been clear. I've been honest. Well, I'm going to be honest on this live show. There is a ruthless aggression going on to push back against the Big Ten, against the SEC. No, this isn't going to be good enough. We want major reform. We want the destruction of these two big behemoth conferences. That is truly what we want when we're talking about, oh, let's have divisions in football and in baseball and softball, back to geographic boundaries. All that is a polite way of saying, Big Ten, you must be destroyed. And that's why we're having a live show today. Big Ten is under attack. Let's go to phone calls. Let it rip. Again, you can talk about anything you want in college football when you make a call. Anything you want to talk about. Quarterback battles, whatever you want to talk about. Top 25. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Talk about college football. Anything you want to talk about. Once again, congratulations.
Call from
Evil Badger.
Evil Badger is on the line. The floor is yours. Thanks for your donation. Ryan, thanks for calling. I do appreciate it. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks for taking my call, Greg.
You bet.
I am so sick and tired. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant. I am so sick and tired of people thinking that the Super League is going to be the best idea ever thought of for college sports. It's not. And I have to disagree with you and Nathan. They think that the Big 12 schools are going to benefit from the Super League. They're not. Because they're out west and they don't have as many eyeballs to watch as the East Coast and the Midwest do. It's not going to benefit the Big 12 or ACC. And to try to destroy the Big 10 and the SEC is just going to destroy college football.
I think it would. Okay, well, I get what you're saying. I do think a Super League would benefit, on average, Big 12 and ACC schools. But the question I always say is, what is the Big 12 and ACC schools giving up when in this creation of the Super League? What are they sacrificing? What skin are they going into the game with? What are they? They're getting the benefits, but what are they getting? What are they do? I mean, it's like it. Look, if we do this Super League thing, it's the Michigan, the Ohio State, the Penn State, the Alabama, the Georgia. They're the ones that are taking the most risk, and they're the ones that are sharing most of their value to a larger group of schools. I go back to the hypocrisy argument. People get angry that Vanderbilt is making as much money as Alabama when it comes to media rights in the SEC. But they've been conference mates for decades. But the same people who are angry that Vanderbilt's getting the same amount of money as Alabama in media rights, They suddenly want Alabama and the Georgias and the Florida and the Tennessees to share their value with 40 other schools out there that they don't have any historical binds whatsoever. For the good of college football, that's what they want this to happen. Again, it's not logical. It is, you can see why Alabama would want to share their media rights with Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt can have once in a while have a decent football team. They beat Alabama last year. So Vanderbilt can play in that gorgeous Vanderbilt baseball stadium, have that great baseball team. You can see the incentives of why in Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee share their value with the rest of the SEC schools. But the same people who do not like that that's occurring suddenly want Alabama and Georgia and Michigan, Ohio State to say, Super League, no problem. We'll carry the load on the Super League. When we have this negotiations as one entity under the broadcasting rights of 61, Ohio State and Michigan, we're going to carry even a bigger load. We're not going to just carry those stupid Gophers. We're going to be carrying the load of the Big 12 and the ACC. No problem. No problem whatsoever. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. Why would Georgia and Ohio State even want to do the Super League stuff? Unless it's a Super League among the top of the Big 10 and the top of the SEC. And that might happen. But why would they go in and push everybody up to there? It doesn't make logical sense. Go ahead, Ryan. I went on a rant. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so you and Nathan have said 48 to 72 teams. Well, imagine that all the Big Ten and all the SEC teams go into the Super League. And you have, well, if you go to 48 teams, not, that leaves about, 34, there's 14 other schools that can get in. Is Utah or BYU going to be one of them?
I don't know. No idea.
So if I were you or Nathan, I'd be worried about Super League and being left out.
Yeah, a lot of great schools would be left out of a 48-team Super League, and then that would crush the value of the remaining schools. Yeah, I agree. That's why these Super Leagues are really, the ones that are being really proposed are the ones that are 1672. I know Wild Ute would like a 40 and Nathan a 48, but to get everybody on board, to get all the Big 12 and ACC schools on board to help politically, right, to help you get it through politically, you would need to go to 72 or 70 or whatever. And I don't know. It's just, I think it's, go ahead, sir. Go ahead and finish the call. I appreciate it.
And my super chat kind of referenced an event that happened back in the 70s, the late 70s, if you know what I mean. So I'm just, in my personal opinion, the Super League would kill college football, college sports. That's my opinion. I'll stick by it.
You got it, buddy. A lot of people agree with you.
That's all I had, Greg.
All right, man.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Devil Frog, poaching other conference for decades to prop up their own. So altruistic. Thank you for your civic heroes. I have not called it altruistic. I've called it ruthless aggression. I definitely have not called any. The Big Ten has tried to serve their own self-interest. The SEC has tried to serve their own self-interest. So has the Big 12. And again, I'm not blaming the pushback. is happening, and it was always going to happen.
Call from
Rick?
Rick, can you hold on for a moment?
You bet.
I appreciate it. But again, I can't, the pushback is something that was going to happen. No question about it. And it's happening, and it's happening, and it's happening. I'm just going to, but I'm not going to, I'm going to be consistent. What the SEC did to the Big 12, what the Big 10 did to the Pac-12, that's not altruistic. I did not use those words. And what's going on right now is not altruistic on the pushback. Because again, TCU, you're not looking out for North Texas. You're not going to be looking out for North Texas. You're not looking out for North Texas. You're not looking out for UTSA. You're looking out for TCU. So it's a pushback, and the Big Ten's pushing back, and ACC's pushing. They're all pushing each other. So let's call it like it is. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead, Rick. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir.
Thank you. Don't let anyone use the term Super League unless they define it.
Yeah. I've had that trouble. Yep.
Don't allow them to get away with that. Because I told you a couple of months ago what I thought the Super League was. It's the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah.
And nothing else. No more, no less. The numbers may increase from 18 to 20 or 16 to 20, but it's the Big Ten and the SEC and nothing else.
Yeah.
That's how I define the Super League.
Yeah.
If anybody else wants to call up and say, oh, well, we need the Super League, or some Texas gas bag millionaire and decides to get on a commission to create a Super League, you don't get to do nothing until you define it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Cody Campbell wants, now a lot of things he said I agree with, but, you know, he wants all these schools to be pulled together where they're all making the same amount of money when media rights. And again, if Cody Campbell was sitting right next to me, I would ask him, so what are we going to do with the Big Ten Network? Because there's been a lot of work, a lot of investment, a lot of risk. What are we doing with the Big Ten Network? That's just going to go away? The SEC Network's just going to go away? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I want to know how many schools from where.
Yeah, and how many schools are we talking? And it's, yeah, I don't want to put words in the gentleman's mouth, but it sounded like he was talking more than, like he was including some G5 schools, but whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Well, it sounds to me like he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well,
that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, this is just the start of the story, right? We don't know what Campbell and Saban are gonna.
Yeah. Maybe it's 64, but what we know is Texas Tech and Alabama will be in the 64.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 72. Maybe it's 32. Who the hell knows? Well, shut up and tell somebody.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You got it. Appreciate it. And okay, I'm not going to use the word Super League, but let's use the word Ultimate League. The Ultimate League. Create an Ultimate League. Create it among the Big 12 and the ACC. Or some G5 schools in the Big 12. You can create something. If you want to get the 1961 sports broadcasting thing to be the law of the land for college sports, once that happens, create what you want to create. I mean, if you want to go like in these small divisions conferences and you think you're going to make a lot of money by and you go negotiate with these media partners, go for it. Or if you think you got to have a national, which you do, I mean, that's what everybody just learned. It's almost like we have to relearn this, where a one region conference, unless you're the Southeastern Conference, ain't going to work because you're not bringing the value to the networks. The Big Ten can play games all through the day, all through the night, because they're a national conference. The Big 12 is also utilizing that, and they're going to utilize that. So now you say, well, Greg, if everybody negotiates under the same umbrella, if the 1961 Act reopens up, then it's going to create more value for everybody. Okay. I would like to see that happen without the Big Ten and the SEC. I would like to see this actually happen in practice. If the ACC and the Big 12 pulls everything together, they're from the East Coast all the way to Arizona, they're all the way to Stanford. If they're going to pull, like, you've got a national thing, you can divide it all up. You can all, what is it? How many schools is that? 33? 33 schools, and then you got Notre Dame. There's going to be some scheduling agreement, blah, blah, blah. 33 schools. Add 3 more G5 schools. Make it 36 schools. Have a 36-school ultimate league. The ultimate league. 36 schools. 17 ACC, 16 Big 12, add 3 more. Then you can have 6 divisions of 6 teams. Have it geographic. It helps with the travel. You can do everything you want the Big Ten to get involved with. You can do this on your own. And if it works, if the value of each ACC and Big 12 school skyrockets because you've done this, you've pulled the trigger on the ultimate league, the ultimate cheeseburger league. If you pull the trigger on it and if it works, then the Big Ten and the SEC might join you and say, okay, let's pull out. This is really... Nothing is really stopping the Big 12 and the ACC from doing what Cody Campbell wants, from Jack Swarbrick wanted with the Super League. Go do it. You don't need the Buckeyes. You don't need Michigan. You don't need Alabama. You don't need Georgia. If this is the type of thing that's going to increase value, it's going to increase value for your institutions without Georgia, without Alabama. Go for it. I would love to see this work. There it is. Troll grinding cheek clapper. Big 12, ACC, Notre Dame, Oregon State, Washington State. 36 teams. Now, first, Cody Campbell and all these people are going to be... you got Senator Cruz already talking about it. The 1961 Broadcasting Act. You need that. We need that brought back up again. You need college sports to get protection, just like the NFL. Once you get that, get it done. Let's see if it works.
All from
Wild Ute.
Wild Ute is on the line. The floor is yours. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. This is a different type of show today. Mm-hmm. I'm usually the fat guy from Minnesota, the host of a national show. But I went ahead and put the Big Ten hat on for the very first time. I've got it on. I don't have it on. My head is too big. I can't really put any hat on my big head. But anyway, so I've got the Big Ten hat on. Wild Jute, the floor is yours. Let it rip, sir.
Okay, so can we have some real talk? Can we be real honest? You mentioned it before that we just need to actually be honest about what's going on here.
Yep.
And I think that's what this calls for. Got 3 points. I'll make them brief thoughts based on your monologue, okay, and based on this topic. Okay, so I think that one of the issues here is like an emotional issue, right? Like where a lot of schools feel left behind, and here's something that it gets my craw at least, and I know other fans of the Big 12 and the ACC feel the same way. But the Big Ten, they pillaged the Pac-12. They took USC. They let it out to bleed. Raw, ruthless aggression, ugly, ugly. They treated a fellow brother, Pac-12, like that. So that is the optics from the exterior. And then all of a sudden, when you're in the club of the Big Ten, it's this altruistic, beautiful utopia and everything, and the exact opposite of basically how you've acted to your brother conference over the last 50 to 100 years. So it seems to me, this is point number one, this is going to be a little triggering, okay?
Yep.
But it seems to me that the the Big Ten is two-faced. It's two-faced. Like, yes, and so when there's pushback on getting unequal revenue share, it's like, hey, from the outside, it's like, just go and act the way you really are internally. If you're going to go kill the Pac-12 and take USC and finish it off, and just do the same thing to yourself. That's who you are. Don't act two-faced. That's point one, okay?
Got it.
And point number two, this is on the more of the emotional part, probably for a lot of fans, is it's difficult to see schools in the SEC and the Big Ten that are not the big brands, the lower brands, the mid-tier brands, just being able to benefit off largely the big brands on these media contracts. It seems like in the world of sports, there's limited meritocracy in these conferences, and if you got into the club, you're an oligarch. And like you're just benefiting, milking, doing whatever. And from the outside perspective, it's like you're doing nothing to justify this. Your conference is pulling away from everybody else. You guys are acting superior, thumbing your nose at everybody else. And you really aren't doing anything to warrant that success or merit. So that's point number two. From the external, from an emotional part, it looks like there's no meritocracy inside the Big Ten and the SEC. The top brands are driving everything, which is a frustrating thing to see from the outside. And number three, last point here, and this one is actually, like, I think a really strong point. So what Cody Campbell is doing, I love it actually, because it's basically calling it out. The Big Ten and the SEC seemingly want to break away anyway. Don't play the slow boil. Don't act like like the Big 12 and the ACC are just a frog in the pot that's slow boiling. Just turn it up. Just boil us and finish us off, or else this frog's going to jump out. Let's just decide right here, without just bleeding the resources dry, the recruits dry, the financials dry, the exposures dry, over the next 10 years to say that it's not even a competitive playing field at all. Just do it. Just pull away today. So quit talking like it. Just do it if you're going to do it, or else don't. And so I love the fact that he's aggressive and saying basically, hey, like, let's do a Super League or something else. And if that's going to show the real face that you're going to pull away anyway, just do it so we can just move on. Because it's going to suck tremendously over the next 10 years if the Big 12 and the ACC just continue eroding and stuff based on financials. And you know how difficult it is financially. Like, Iowa State's barely surviving. So are a lot of Big 12 schools, especially in this rev share era, with the new media rights part, is a huge competitive advantage for the Big 10 over Big 12, as we know. So just pull away if you're going to do it. No more threats, just do it. So those are the three thoughts.
Okay. I agree with some of that. I do. Especially the last one, the financial disparity, it's only going to grow. And again, the financial, I'll just leave it at that. First of all, I have not called anything that the Big Ten, me personally, I have not called anything that the Big Ten has done as altruistic. Right. I've called it ruthless aggression. I've called it stabbing your sister conference in the back. I have been against the auto bids. I have been against eliminating G5 playoff access. It's kind of funny, though, because the Super League stuff does eliminate G5 games with the other schools. So those Super League, 72-team Super Leagues are not altruistic either. I believe I'm the one that's being consistent because none of what the Big Ten and the SEC has done is altruistic, and none of the things that the Big 12 and the ACC are doing is altruistic. I've said this before. I understand the great pushback. It's natural. It should have been. Of course, I agree with it. So I'm not emotionally upset that the pushback is happening, but I'm gonna call it like this is a pushback. This is not this isn't about saving anything. I mean, it is for the Big 12 and ACC, but it ain't about saving college football. I mean, it isn't because Wild you're not doing anything for Utah State. You're not doing
this is all for your this is for your own school, just like with Cody Campbell. It's for his own school. He just wants his school to be at the top of the playing field and have a chance to win championships.
That's
just like
my
I
point.
went with Utah, just like you won Minnesota.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah. So it's not, and it's under the guise of a Super League because that's an easy way to package that conversation.
Oh, and I do, and I will do another pushback on this pushback. I should have called this live show Pushback. You keep inferring that there's like half of the Big Ten conference that doesn't do anything, right? They don't do anything. They do a lot of things, Wild Jude. It is unbelievably difficult to beat Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Unbelievably difficult. You know, Minnesota spends a lot of money on football. They've always have. They don't got the money that the Buckeyes do. They don't have the recruiting grounds, but they spend a lot of money. We got a new stadium. We owe $180 million on that thing. Other universities, they're spending a lot of money, but it's tough to. So if you're just going to grade the bottom half of the Big Ten and the SEC, how they do against the top half of the SEC and the top half of the Big Ten, well, you would give everybody in the Big 12 and almost everybody in the SEC low grades as well. So that's one pushback. I mean, these are major universities in major markets that have a lot of money in them, and they're valuable. Even though they get their butts kicked, they're valuable. So that is
some of them aren't as valuable as others.
Okay, well, there are schools. I want to be kind here, but it isn't like the Big 12 and the ACC schools. Like they've all have earned their spot, and you make it sound like there's this altruism versus this ruthless aggression. This live show for me today is to say no, that ain't happening. I mean, Texas Tech is not going to be looking out for Texas schools that are below them. And so you can't, so in the same turn, you're asking for the Big Ten and the SEC to look out for everybody to take on this big risk of this, we won't call it a Super League. I mean, it's like you're asking for the SEC and the Big Ten to put all the skin in the game on this dramatic change. But what is the skin that Utah's putting in? You're not losing anything, Wild Jude, but the Buckeyes might lose. The Michigan might lose. Penn State might lose. That's my point. It's like
I think that it's just more of like just pushing the narrative. I don't even think it's like Cody Campbell really thinks the Super League is going to happen. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It's just trying to, when we actually get down to the deep root, it's actually trying to destabilize the power of the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yes, it is, and that's why I got the title screen. Big Ten is under attack. They definitely are.
Destabilize the power because like the Big Ten is bullying. And so,
Yeah.
like, what do you do with the bully? Like, put yourself outside the Big Ten. If you were a Utah fan, well, what the heck would you be saying?
I know, and I said at the beginning of the show, I said I don't blame the pushback. I don't blame it, but I'm calling it a pushback. It's not. It's a push back and forth. What I don't want to happen, Wild Jew, what I don't want to happen, what I'm 100% against, is the Big Ten and the SEC, like you say, go ahead and go. Go ahead and go. Don't do the turtle in a pot of warm water and you keep turning the heat a little bit. Just turn it to full boil. That's what you said, right? I don't emotionally, personally, as a college football fan, I don't want that to happen. That's going to suck. Because, Wild Jew, I know you don't watch Big Ten football. You said it and everything, unless they're the top brands, whatever. I watch all kinds of football. I watch it all. I love it all. And the Big Ten and the SEC separating from everybody else, it's going to suck. It's going to be horrible. That's going to be more like NFL light than ever before, and that's going to hurt the opportunities of all these other guys in schools and all these other places across the country. It's going to suck. So while there's a pushback back and forth, like India and Pakistan, I don't want there to be a nuclear war either, right? That's what my biggest fear is. And I think we're getting closer and closer to this. I don't want it to happen. Go ahead, sir.
It's a timing thing, because, like, in my mind, the Big Ten and the SEC are going to pull away. It's just a matter of when. And, like, I'm saying, like, I don't want to see my school erode and erode and erode, and then the narrative just to say, oh my gosh, the Big Ten and the SEC, they're growing stronger and stronger. Just do it. Like, if you want to do it anyway, and you've got the power now, just pull the trigger now, because you're going to do it anyway. And if you're not going to do it anyway, then what's this? Even the playing field, so it's more competitive across the landscape somehow. Like, let's fix the sport. So if you're not going to pull away, help others to fix the sport some way, shape, or form, or else just pull away.
Got it.
Because the sport's sick, Greg. It's great if you're a Minnesota Golden Gopher because you're in the club. It's not so great when you're not in the club.
Even for Minnesota, which, you know, gets all the arrows thrown at them all the time. Even Minnesota plays against schools, Wild Jew, that have so much bigger advantage over Minnesota than the schools that Utah play. Every single year. So when Minnesota's getting beaten up by schools that have so much more resources, then the comment is always, well, Minnesota just isn't this a meritocracy and all this other, like, Minnesota's not even trying, blah, 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 blah. I hear that every year. I'm 57 years old. So it ain't all great for Minnesota either, because the ability to compete against the big boys, I don't care. I'm sorry. Arizona State, you did great against Texas. BYU, you had a great year. SMU, congratulations. But if you're playing against Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Georgia, Alabama, Florida every single year, 9 out of the 10 times, you're going to get your butt crushed. So it isn't all good for anybody unless you're the top brands of the SEC and the Big Ten. I understand.
Financially, it is. I mean, like,
okay, financially, it is.
Here's the test.
Wait.
Would you rather be you?
Let me answer that. Wow, let me answer that, because I'm not going to apologize for Minnesota's financial situation.
Sure.
Minnesota has nothing to apologize for, guys. I'm sorry, they don't. They're in a big market. They bring a lot of money. Count up the Fortune 500 companies in the Twin Cities. It is far greater than Wisconsin, Iowa, and we bring incredible value to the Big Ten. I'm sorry that we don't win games. Well, we have with PJ Fleck, but I'm sorry. We bring a lot of value. Minnesota does, okay? We were the ones that built this conference. We were the ones that made all the decisions. We were the ones that won 7 national championships, a college World Series, a hockey many hockey championships. We've won in every single sport you can imagine, except for basketball. So we don't have to apologize for nothing. I'm not a national host today. I can say this today. I know everybody looks at Minnesota and says, well, they suck. They don't deserve this just because they 1896. No. If the Big Ten kicked out Minnesota today because of the antics of the fat guy from Minnesota, which might happen, and we wake up tomorrow morning and Minnesota's kicked out, the Big 12 is going to scoop up Minnesota so fast it'll make your head spin because they want that damn market. They want that brand. The brand ain't big, but it's valuable. So that's I just had to defend Minnesota there. I get it. It's not fair. There's wide discrepancy among all these schools. We're not going to be we're not going to have the draft. We're not going to have a salary cap. There's so many things that we're not going to have. It's going to be imperfect. What I don't have is an answer for you, Wild Jute, on the gap discrepancy between the Big 12 and the ACC versus the Big 10 and the SEC. But
that's where the pushback's coming from.
And that's where
that
the pushback
is exactly the root cause. That's why we're talking about this. That's why Super League conversation. That's why all the attacks.
Attack. Exactly.
Yeah, it's an attack.
Big Ten is on it now. But what do you think about this? What do you think about the ACC and the Big 12 nodding their head in agreement to what Cody Campbell and the creation of these super leagues and say, okay, let's go together, let's group together, because supposedly our content bundled up as a 36-team league, if you add 3 more G5 schools, we can bundle up. We're all going to make more money if they redo the Broadcasting Act of 1961 for college sports. Let's bundle it all up. Let's have the ultimate league, call it that, and let's see if we can raise the value of everybody. And then we'll have the Big Ten and the SEC looking at us and going, oh, this stuff does work. What about that idea?
I don't think that's going to work. Because, well, maybe if you had Texas and OU before they got poached, it would have worked. But you already scooped up the biggest brands. You're about to scoop up more in the ACC. I'm talking about Big Ten and the SEC. That would have worked in the past iterations, but realignment's already basically neutered that type of idea. And that whatever you could maximize on the finances on something like that, it's not going to be like it could have been. And so no one's going to sign off on doing that, especially if they've got an iota of a chance to get in the Big Ten or the SEC. When you're not the first-class citizen, you're always going to look up and try to get to the first class no matter what. You're not going to commit to being second class if you think you're going to get to the first class. That's not going to work.
And I would go back to, there's a lot of schools that want Utah spot. There's a lot of schools that want TCU spot. There's a lot of schools that think they should have Wake Forest, Boston College spot. There's a lot of schools out there that think they should be at the next level. So they're looking at you while you're looking at the SEC and the Big Ten. I just wanted to put that in there.
True. Anyway, we'll let somebody else jump on.
Right,
Thanks,
man.
Greg. Take care.
Wow, Jude, you guys doing a show tonight? Oh. Beautiful call, Wow, Jude. Wow, Jude does a great job in College Football Mafia show. I don't know if they're having a live show tonight. Maybe not. I don't think they usually do one on Thursday. They do a Freaky Friday show, however. So catch Wild Jute, Moen, Nathan Brown, Rock and Rant on that show. They do a fantastic job. You know Wild Jute's going to go after Moen with an uppercut and a left and a right. And, of course, I'm going to be rooting for Wild Jute against Moen. I hope he knocks the Buckeye straight out on College Football Mafia show. Antoine Johnson, I think there will be a salary cap. A salary cap does not limit NIL opportunities. Student athletes can still get brand deals. Well, you're correct on that, Antoine Johnson. In fact, They basically have a salary cap, if that is what you consider a salary cap, right? They have the rev share, 20.5 million, somewhere around there. You cannot have direct payments going from the athletic department to your student athletes that go above $20.5 million. You've got the rev share at 20.5, and then you've got those NIL opportunities. However, we don't know how that's going to work because of the clearinghouse. So, but you are absolutely correct, Antoine Johnson. Thank you so much for being an early peak cloak and member for a 9th month. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Thank you so much, Antoine Johnson. Sun Devil, great season. Sam Lovett. Tyson is coming back. Should be exciting. I got the Sun Devils number 1 in the Big 12 in my way too early order of finish prediction for the Big 12. I don't think Antoine Johnson is too happy with my prediction to have the Sun Devils as the number 1 team, because he thinks it's going to be Greg the Cooler once again, but it is going to be Greg the Gold. In 2025, Antoine Johnson, you are hereby knighted, cloak and dagger once again. Ryan Willie, the people that want Super League believe they can create utopia. I'm still welcome to watch CFM podcast. Member only tonight. I don't know. College Football Mafia. Oh, that's right. They're doing a members only show tonight. Mullen is doing that. If you are a member, Ryan Willie, you can watch it. That's correct. I was told that. I forgot. My bad. There is going to be a College Football Mafia members only show tonight. So go check it out. Ryan Willie, if you're a member, you can watch it. If you're not, you're going to have to become one if you want to watch it. Ryan Willie, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your generosity. I very much appreciate it. Wow, we've had a big show tonight. Big one. Holy smokes. Let me check here. I'm getting a lot of messages. I want to make sure that I haven't missed anything. Okay. And here is front office sports. Donald Trump's plan to create a commission on college sports surprised many in Congress. Sources tell front office sports. A lobbyist described scrambling and confusion on both sides of the aisle after reports of Nick Saban being named co-chair of the planned commission. Oh boy. What a mess. There's scrambling, confusion. It suggests there may not be much coordination between the Trump White House and Congress. The lawmakers have been working on several bills related to college sports and NIL over the past 6 years. One Power 4 executive told Front Office Sports that as far as they knew, the colleagues in their conference had never been approached by anyone in the Trump White House to talk about issues related to college sports. Okay. That's it on that. Okay. I want to thank everybody for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, May 8th live show. We've been on the air for 2 hours. I want to thank all those who gave us a phone call today. Beautiful calls. Rick and Wild Jute and Ryan Willie. I want to thank people who were kind to give us donation to help us keep the lights on. MBM, Bill G, Ryan Willie, Expedition Greg, Antoine Johnson. Thank you so very much. All the people in the chat, I do appreciate it. I appreciate it. Our Sergeant Pickles, CFB members only show. Wild Jude is breaking down Miami's option for a new home. Will be a fun time. Can you recap the show for those like me who missed it? Cranky Tiger, I'm sorry. The Big Ten is under attack. There is your recap. I'm sorry, you're going to have to go back and watch the show. We went through a lot of stuff, some articles. I appreciate it. Just making sure I didn't miss anything here. Appreciate it, John Dry. Okay, before you leave, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button. If you do subscribe to our channel, make sure you turn on those notifications. We can come on live at any time, especially in this month of March. It's a crazy month. We're only 8 days in, and it's going to get crazier and crazier. We're heading into ACC meetings in Amelia Island. It's going to be a lot of drama. Stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. I want to thank you all for joining us. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.